Why would anyone try to shove an 80-year-old widow into a trash bin over a porch chair? That's the question I was screaming in my head when I saw Margaret, our neighborhood tyrant, storming toward my Grandma Ruth's porch like she was about to declare martial law. Let me tell you, that sunny Tuesday morning in Willow Creek Estates was the day I learned two things. Our HOA wasn't just a bunch of clipboard-wielding busybodies, it was a cult of control freaks. And Grandma Ruth? She didn't need me to save her. She needed a second to limber up. See, what Margaret didn't know, what nobody in this cookie-cutter hellscape knew, was that the tiny woman she was trying to bully like a sack of yard waste had a third-degree black belt in Shodan karate. Back in '89, she'd sent 2 muggers to the ER with nothing but a rolled-up magazine and a butterscotch candy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up to how we landed in this suburban nightmare. After Grandpa Joe passed, Grandma Ruth was rattling around alone in her old farmhouse, too stubborn to admit she needed help, too proud to take it. So I sold my downtown loft, cashed out some stocks, and bought us a cozy little bungalow in what the realtor swore was a tight-knit, family-friendly community. Big mistake. The lawns were too perfect, like they'd been ironed. Every mailbox was the same shade of oatmeal. And the welcome packet? A 3-ring binder called SAW Community Standards Manual SAW, so thick it could double as a doorstop. I didn't care. I just wanted Grandma safe. She'd raised 3 kids solo, outworked 2 deadbeat husbands, and outlived a carjacker who thought her purse was an easy grab in '93. It was her turn to rest. But Willow Creek wasn't a neighborhood, it was a dictatorship. The second our MOVYing truck rolled in, Margaret materialized, all sharp elbows and fake smiles, clutching a clipboard like it was the Constitution. Her sweater matched her poodle's collar, which should have been my first red flag. "Welcome to Willow Creek," she said, her voice dripping with judgment as she eyed our mismatched boxes and Grandma's ancient porch swing. She scribbled something and strutted off, Leah vying a whiff of lavender and menace. By Wednesday, we had a neon green notice on our mailbox. Apparently, its forest green clashed with the approved aesthetic palette. Grandma had painted it herself in '96, using leftover shed paint and a sponge. "Looks like a forest to me," she said, squinting at the letter. "What's this nonsense about palette?" I called the HOA, and Margaret's voice slithered through the phone, all syrup and steel. "It's not personal. We just value cohesion. We've selected a compliant model for you. It's taupe." Then things got weird. Our garden gnome Sir Chuckles and Lady Sprout vanished overnight. Someone flipped our welcome mat upside down and decapitated Grandma's petunias. No proof, of course, but I caught Margaret strolling by, tapping away on her phone's HOA app while her poodle peed on our recycling bin. "He only marks violations," she chirped, like that was normal. Grandma didn't blink. She just brewed chamomile tea, set out 2 mugs on the porch, and said, "Some folks get their kicks bossing people around. I get mine watching birds steal crackers." But the peace didn't last. By Friday, we got a citation for excessive elder activity, claiming Grandma's morning tea on the porch was a public disturbance. Apparently, her chats with Mrs. Harper from next door or the mailman, who loved her oatmeal cookies, were unsanctioned gatherings. Then came fines, $75 for a non-compliant porch swing that creaked too loudly, $44 for olfactory disturbances, because Grandma's cornbread smelled too good. She read that one aloud twice, laughing so hard she snorted. "Arrested for baking? That's a new one." It wasn't funny for long. The HOA's goons, Grandma called them, the taupe troopers, started lurking on our lawn at dawn, snapping photos and muttering about code enforcement. One creep hid in our azaleas, filming Grandma knitting through the window. When I confronted him, he babbled about auditory compliance and scurried off. Margaret, when I complained, said, "Our team ensures BHVY oral uniformity. We've had reports of your grandmother humming." Humming! Grandma couldn't hum if her life depended on it. Had a front tooth gap she called her signature charm. Grandma started closing her blinds, not out of fear, but because she knew they were watching. Let them try something, she said, her teacup steady as a sniper's scope. If they touch my roses, I'll show them what 60 years of yoga and bad manners can do. I tried fighting backmails, board meetings, polite appeals, but Margaret always had an excuse, her smile like a shark circling a lifeboat. The board just nodded along, spineless as jellyfish. Cohesion requires compliance, they drone. When I asked what Grandma did wrong, they cited unapproved porch loitering and suspected communal overengagement. Then came the notice that broke us. Grandma's porch time 3 hours daily was static trespassing, a term Margaret made up. Let's charge her rent to sit on her own steps. I joked, but Grandma wasn't laughing anymore. She stopped wearing her daisy print robe. She sat farther back on the porch, eyes sharp, tea cold, waiting. This isn't about rules, she said one night, fireflies flickering around us. It's about being old and in the way. About life not looking like their sales pitch. That's when things got dirty. Overnight, weeds sprouted under Grandma's lilies, perfectly aligned, like someone planted them. Grandma spotted it first. I've fought more weeds than boyfriends, and these didn't grow, they were bought. Sure enough, we found nursery tags on the roots. That afternoon, a DO Law 100 fine arrived for invasive species. Margaret's signature was at the bottom, her cursive like a slap. Then came anonymous complaints. Unsightly senior fixtures, unlicensed rocking. Even potential elder vagrancy. Margaret circled our house in her SUV, filming every angle. One night, I caught a flash at 3 a.m. one of her minions taking infrared shots of our porch. Then, unannounced, contractors showed up with elder-safe inspections, badges, and Margaret's letterhead. We're auditing for fall risks, one said, eyeing Grandma's swing like it was a death trap. Fall risks? Grandma snapped, stepping out in a robe that red sauce still kicking saw. You think my chair's gonna toss me like a rodeo bull? They tried entering the house. I blocked them. They claimed HOA bylaws trumped everything. Grandma whipped out her reading glasses, opened a binder of legal codes, and quoted state law so fast the guy flinched. Touch that door, and you'll learn trespass in front of a judge with a limp. Margaret doubled down, knocking on neighbors' doors, whispering that Grandma was confused. Talking to her cat, she was, or Leah VYing tea out, maybe. One evening, a sign appeared on our lawn, saw Senior Oversight Zone saw. Grandma sipped tea beside it. If they want a camera, I'll knit it a cozy. But the final straw came on a Thursday. I just left for the store when Margaret rolled up with 2 goons, a city trash bin, and a violation notice. She stormed the porch, while VYing her clipboard. This porch isn't zoned for lingering. Your grandmother's unauthorized and unsightly. We're VYing her. I screeched back, groceries spilling, as Margaret pointed at Grandma like she was mold. Her, she said. She's lowering property values. One goon wheeled the bin forward, labeled saw CIVYC waste saw. We'll move her gently. Margaret cooed. I shouted, Don't! But Grandma was already up, no cane, no tremble. She set her teacup down, rolled up her sleeves, and said, Go ahead. Try. Margaret laughed. Big mistake. In one fluid move, Grandma spun, landed a palm strike to Margaret's chest, and sent her flying into the rose bushes, clipboard soaring. The goons froze. One step forward, Grandma's glare stopped him cold. Margaret, sprawled in thorns, wheezed, Assault! You're done, you old hag! Neighbors peeked out. Someone called the cops. A cruiser pulled up, and Officer Delgado stepped out, took one look, and grinned. Miss Ruth? You good? She tried to trash me, Grandma said, dusting her hands. Delgado's partner, a rookie, blinked. You know her? Delgado laughed. Taught me self-defense in '05. Took down a pickpocket with a thermos in '99. Legend. He turned to Margaret, still tangled in roses. Ma'am, you hurt? She launched me. Margaret shrieked. Delgado nodded. Sounds like attempted restraint and elder harassment. Plus, this be how VY Oral Oversight Committee notice. Fake. They hauled Margaret to the cruiser, petals in her hair. The goons vanished. Delgado shook Grandma's hand. Call if you need me. Grandma sighed. Just wish I hadn't tipped my tea. The next morning, Grandma was all business, brewing coffee so strong it could wake a coma patient. She spread out a notebook, photos, and receipts like a detective. Time to end this, she said, showing me a picture of Margaret with a guy from Evergreen Solutions, her brother's shell company, paid Dula $12,000 for a volunteer, landscaping job. How'd you get this? I asked. She pulled out an old ID, saw Georgia State Investigator, Level 3 saw. Retired, she said, but old habits die hard. She'd been tracking Margaret since the mailbox fiasco, secret board meetings, fake invoices, neighbors fined for resisting her re-election. One guy's yard got flooded after he kept a campaign sign up. I offered my tech skills, digital forensics, metadata tracing. Now you tell me? She said, smirking. We spent days building a case, scanned receipts, encrypted backups, neighbor testimonies. A board member, Ethan, cracked, showing up with a USB of emails pro-VYing Margaret fake votes and siphoned funds to her brother's company for ghost projects. The kicker? An email about funneling HOA money to her lake house remodel, labeled SAW Patio Fund SAW. We sent it all to the state attorney general. 2 days later, SAW received. Under VYEW. SAW Grandma called the lawn meeting chairs, lemonade, no Margaret. 40 neighbors came, 32 signed a class action suit. Margaret, back from suspension, raged, unaware we'd already won. When subpoenas hit, she looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. The board collapsed, resignations, a treasurer's coffee on server meltdown, frozen accounts. Charges piled up: fraud, elder abuse, misappropriation. Margaret's brother's company? A scam with one rusty van. The county paper ran a front-page story, saw HOA Chief Barry's career in fraud saw. Grandma's quote. I told her not to make me get up. Went VY Ral. T-shirts popped up with her holding a crumpled citation. The HOA was dissolved, replaced by a cooperative with a one-page rule, saw don't be a jerk saw. The old HOA office became a tea parlor, Grandma's idea, hosting poetry nights and her sold-out self-defense class.